10 years before the legendary and iconic anime film masterpiece Ghost in the Shell, director Mamoru Oshii worked on this lesser-known anime film called Angel's Egg, a movie that's as captivating as it is confusing. 100% an art house style film. The kind of movie that is intentionally vague with its intentions and gives clues to its meaning within its own artwork and imagery rather than through the storytelling and dialogue. It's an incredibly difficult film to talk about in generalities and even more so difficult to recommend to somebody. It's hard to tell somebody what to expect in a movie that doesn't really have much happen at all. And the things that do happen are wildly up to interpretation. I've started a series of videos on this channel where I review classic 80s and 90s anime films, not just because I love them and have a nostalgic admiration for this time period, and being a young kid and teen discovering all of these adult and thought-provoking anime films, but also because a lot of these movies get more and more lost to time as things evolve and everything gets remade and transitioned into something else. What I normally try to do in these videos is give you a brief overview of the film and try to recommend it to some new audiences who might not have seen them, while also basking in that nostalgic glory with my older viewers. But Angel's Egg is a movie that you can't really do that for. You can't really talk about much of anything without trying to analyze it. So before I get into spoilers and my own personal thoughts on the movie, if you have never seen it, I don't recommend it unless you actively enjoy watching movies that are a little confusing and something to think about and piece together as you dwell on it more and more. This is not the kind of movie that you just go into for an hour of entertainment and then move on to the next thing. Think of this as an anime equivalent of 2001: A Space Odyssey or something like that. Something that can go 20 minutes with no dialogue, something that can showcase bizarre and prophetic imagery on the screen with nothing but a score behind it as it zooms in on something that is unexplainable. This is a very specific kind of film, and it's not for everybody. Many people would probably just find themselves bored or confused. Well, you're going to find yourself confused no matter what, but if you are into analyzing art a little bit more closely, then by all means, go ahead and descend into the world of Angel's Egg. The basic premise, if you can come up with one, is that it takes place in a desolate wasteland that very much resembles a post-apocalyptic Earth. There are only two characters in the entire movie: a young girl aimlessly wandering through the broken cities and broken lands, carrying an egg around with her that she is desperately trying to protect. She eventually meets up with a man who is carrying a cross-like object that could be a weapon or could just be a cross. He comes with her as they wander through this place, both of them kind of lost, both physically and mentally, as in they feel like they can't remember why they are here or what they are searching for exactly. As they wander, they come across some interesting and haunting places, and little clues are given here and there as to what might be going on. And that's about all I can really say without getting into it, really. So if this sounds like something you would be interested in discovering, by all means give it a go. As for the rest of this video, I will be doing my best to try and talk about what I think is going on in this movie, but here is my disclaimer. I have no idea what is going on in this movie, and I am just trying to give my interpretation of what I think it is. My opinions are in no way supposed to represent what the actual intentions are, so for something like that, you'd have to go someplace else. Okay, so one thing I do know, and that is important to know, is that there is a heavy religious component within the creation of this film, which makes a ton of sense given the constant references to Noah's Ark and obviously having the word angel in the title. Through a bit of research, it also seems that the director was either currently going through or had just gone through a massive loss of faith within Christianity while this movie was being made. So it seems fair to say that this was a way for him to express the ways that he was feeling through art and images about losing his faith in Christianity. So I guess first I'll talk about the egg. In the very beginning of the movie, there is a very long, drawn-out shot of a bird creature within an egg. And I know that some of my Attack on Titan fans might get mad at me again when I bring this up, but I'm going to say it again, because traditionally in fiction, birds are usually used to represent freedom. the ability to fly away and soar above the earthly troubles, the symbolism of a bird being free from its cage, limitless potential of flying far, far away. When we meet the young girl, she is holding onto an egg and protecting it as if it was her own child. She even puts it underneath her shirt, which makes her look pregnant at times. Parents often want the next generation to be more better off than they were, to have more freedom, and to not be binded by the same oppressions that they were. Now, if this movie truly was made while the director was abandoning his faith in religion, I could see that this egg and the bird within it could possibly represent being free from the binding chains of religion, or the potential that it has to do that anyway, the potential of a new life within the barren wasteland of this world that the movie takes place in. Maybe the reason the world is destroyed and the reason it is so dark and abysmal is because this is how he felt that his faith had made him. Broken and empty when it was supposed to be something that made him feel better and more fulfilled, but instead it offered no actual solace. The only other characters that we see besides the two mains are these nameless and faceless fishermen that are traveling around the world trying to spear these shadowfish. But obviously the spears don't work because the fish are made of, well, shadows. In the process of trying to spear them, they just cause more destruction. And they go on aimlessly trying to do this, seemingly with no independent thought of their own. This could also represent that in trying to catch something or maybe believe in something that is not there, that is not obtainable, that people only cause more devastation and destroy the world around them in the pursuit of which faith is true. So if he felt abandoned by religion, by God, then that could explain why this whole world is also barren and forgotten. Now, if I flash forward to the very end of the movie, there is a very big wide shot that happens when it pulls back, and it looks like this world, or everything that we watched within the movie that took place, it was actually on a giant overturned boat. In some of the very little speaking portions of the movie, the man character talks specifically about Noah's Ark, how the Great Flood did happen like in the Bible, but in this, I guess, canon, God never rebuilt the world and just kind of left it to rot. More themes of being abandoned by God. And this is after potentially hundreds or thousands of years. The man speaks about how Noah sent a bird off and waited for its return, but they waited so long that they began to forget the bird even existed. This could be like feeling so stuck in your beliefs and faith that you keep waiting and waiting for an answer, keep waiting for God to reply, to show you the salvation and freedom that you want, but he just never answers. And eventually, you forget why you were there in the first place. Now, keep in mind, if you are a religious person watching this video, I'm not trying to bash religion. I'm not religious myself, so to me, I'm just treating this like a story that I have no emotional stake in. So please don't take any of this personally. I'm just trying to understand the story. And I think that if we know that the director was losing his faith, then these things seem to become more clear, especially if he felt betrayed by that faith. If he put his heart, soul, body, and mindset within a specific way of living and felt like it offered him nothing in return other than just more emptiness and confusion, which is kind of like what this movie is. Because as this girl meets the man, he is carrying a cross, which is a symbol of Christianity and more specifically of Jesus. But in the Bible, Jesus is kind of used as a vessel to take on the pain of others, dying for their sins and all that. So the cross is kind of like a burden that he carries for the benefit of other people. But in this movie, the cross is used as the device that destroys the girl's egg after they had already spent time together, after she trusted him, and after he seemed like a protector and savior, using the very symbol of faith to betray her, much like someone who lost their faith can feel betrayed by it. And just like her, the man says multiple times that he can't even remember why he is there. It's like not even the Christ-like figure in the movie can remember his actual purpose. And if the egg containing the bird does in fact represent freedom from those chains, it is then broken by the very symbol that it once relied on. Or maybe that she was trying to keep it safe from, to not be influenced by the same thing that made her so lost and confused, a hope for that future generation. And after the egg is destroyed, it seems like there isn't even anything in it at all. There was no bird. So her attempt and hope of this freedom of something other than this grim reality was never going to happen in the first place. Maybe that's how deeply it affected the director, that as much as he hoped for something better, he'll never be able to ignore the years upon years that he devoted to this one thing. The same way that in the film, even though the characters forgot why they were there, they weren't free from anything. They were just going through the motions of something they might have gone through hundreds of times. Then the girl runs and she falls into the water, which I know that water is symbolic in many ways. It can symbolize purity, rebirth, if we're going with religion, baptisms. Well, whatever the case, it seems like that realization that she will never be free makes her become one with the God of this world, which is this giant industrial overseeing eye that is looming upon everything. She's immortalized as a statue among millions of others. Maybe she was the last human left alive, and only after she submits to never breaking free of the eye's rule is the world then free to start over again. Because after she, what I think anyway, dies, only then do eggs appear everywhere with those same birds inside them. She was like the last remnant of this old world, so far gone that she had completely forgotten, yet she was still a part of it. The world could not restart until the last human being was gone from it, and the birds would be a new race to inhabit the earth with no ties or recollection to the God that once drowned it. It's a chance to start anew, and the man who in the beginning of the movie stares directly eye to eye with the godlike entity, well, he was sent there to take that pain away from her, right? But not by taking the pain on himself like a Jesus-like figure, but instead breaking her to the point that she would no longer exist in this world. Once a savior, now a destroyer. But that is all just my theory. That is just my interpretation. Honestly, guys, I did my best to try and decipher this movie, and that's the best that I can come up with. And I know that there are dozens upon dozens of contradictory interpretations, and that's fine. And that's the point of something like this. There is no right answer. This is just what I came up with within the understanding that this was an expression of a man coming to terms with feeling abandoned by God. To me, it is mostly bleak and lonely, and that's the feeling you get through all of the images and scenery. The two main characters, though spending lots of time together, don't even exactly get close. It's a very blank and distant relationship, and the same thing with the setting of the entire film. But what I do want to know is, what do you guys think about this movie? If you have seen it, how do you interpret it? And is my explanation too depressing? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. I know right now, if you want to watch this movie, I'm pretty sure it is on YouTube, and you can also probably find it online somewhere, but I don't believe it's streaming anywhere, and to this day, it has not had an official Blu-ray or even DVD release in the West, which is truly tragic. It feels like a lost movie, which is a damn shame because despite the vague complexity of it all, it is an incredibly captivating movie to watch and will give you something to think about for days to come. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. I do appreciate it. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it because that does help the channel out a lot more than you think. Also, if you want to support the creation of more videos like this, check the link in the description for my Patreon. Even as low as $1 a month would be incredibly helpful, so thank you so much. You'll also find all the various social media links where you can follow me. Other than that, guys, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.